Hi, I'm Leah Holdren, and welcome to WakeTV. There's a lot going on this summer, so stay tuned. The impacts of COVID-19 have been felt all over Wake County, and many are struggling to pay their utility bills. Wake County is here to help, and we're launching our new program called WakeHELPS. Here's Dara Demai with more.
Hi everyone, my name is Dara Demai, and on this edition of WakeTV, we're going to talk about a new program that Wake County is launching to help people in our county who are struggling due to the impact of COVID-19. That new program is called WakeHELPS, and joining us today to talk more about it is Jenny Mueller, who is a program manager with Wake County Human Services. Thank you so much for being with us, Jenny.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here today.
So before we get into the details of the WakeHELPS program, let's talk about the problem it's really trying to solve. What kind of impact has COVID-19 had on our local economy here in Wake County?
It has had a significant impact. Right now, our unemployment is around 11.5%, which is being impacted by COVID with the loss of jobs as well as people having reduced hours at work. And so this, of course, creates problems with meeting monthly obligations due to the decrease in pay.
So it really is creating tough times financially across the board for residents. I know you've done some digging into the data from our local utility providers. Tell us about the demand for this type of assistance here in Wake County.
Well, we have definitely identified that it's a significant amount of demand and needs around utilities. We've reached out to a couple of the vendors, and what we have found is the city of Raleigh has about 10,000 customers that currently have past due bills of over $125. And Duke Energy has over nearly 13,000 customers with a past due total amount combined of $5.1 million. So the need is definitely out there.
Yes, absolutely. So we saw that need and developed this program called WakeHELPS to do just what the name implies, to help those folks who are behind on their utility bills because COVID has impacted them in some sort of way. So what kind of financial help are we talking about for these people who really need it?
Wake County has been fortunate to get CARES funding, and out of that funding they've been able to put $5 million aside specifically to help with utility assistance. And we've been able to develop a program that will allow households to apply and receive up to $500. This will enable us to help over 10,000 residents in Wake County.
Wow, well that should really go a long way. And as you were mentioning, there is an application process to get assistance. How do people go about applying?
We're trying to make it as easy as possible. We do have an online application that's available on our website, wakegov.com/WakeHELPS. And from there you can fill out an application. It's going to ask basic information. It'll give you an opportunity to attach your identification and your income information as well as your past due bills. And with that, we'll be able to process your application. But if you can't come out to the website, you can give us a call and we can mail you an application, or you can stop by one of our buildings and pick up one. Just touch base with the website or call to find out the building hours, because some of those are adjusted due to COVID.
Oh, that's a really good point to make. Yeah. So are there any criteria that people who are interested in applying for this program have to meet to qualify?
Yes. Of course, the first one is to be a Wake County resident. Secondly, to meet the income guidelines. We're using low to moderate income that's published by the HUD program. And then also to demonstrate or certify that they've had a negative financial impact due to COVID-19. And then to also provide copies of their past due utility bill or bills.
And I think it's interesting the way that you're going to be distributing the payment to those who do qualify for the program. It's not going directly to the households, right? It's going to the providers.
Yes, correct. We do, once we approve an application, we either make a direct payment or request for payment to be made, and it usually can take up to 30 days, but it goes directly to that vendor, and so it gets credited to the account in the most efficient manner for the customer.
Yeah, that's really great, because then we can ensure that the money that we've set aside to really help these people goes exactly where it needs to go.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Some people may be behind in paying, say, a water bill, or some people may be behind in paying an electric bill. Can they, when they apply, submit multiple bills, or does it have to be just one?
They can actually submit multiple bills, and we'll take a look at the whole picture and what the options are, and we can use that $500 across multiple vendors, but it is limited to $500 for the household, and each household can apply one time during the application period.
Okay, that's good to know. And I guess it's another important question to ask is, what are the gamut or the range of services that are applicable that people could submit utility bills for under this program?
Yes, we are able to assist with electricity, natural gas, water, wastewater, and household waste, solid waste.
So in the beginning of the COVID situation, Governor Cooper put an executive order into effect that kept utility providers from cutting off people's water, their power, other services that fall under the utility category. Is that executive order still in effect?
Well, it's actually has expired, the part of the order that prevented disconnections. There's still some policy in place to allow for payment plans and reduction in fees. But however, for individuals who have lost their job or have the reduced income, even meeting those payment plans is a challenge. And so that's impacting folks at this time. And that the order ran out on July 29th. And so this program kind of is picking up at that point and trying to fill in that gap.
Yes, and it's so important. I mean, we're in the middle of a public health pandemic. We're also in the middle of summer when it's so hot. I mean, we would really hate to see these services be shut off to residents in our community.
Yes, they are definitely critical, especially during these times. I mean, we need water so that we can wash our hands. We need electricity so when we're staying safer at home and the temperatures are approaching 100, not having air conditioning could be deadly in those circumstances. And then just solid waste not being picked up from a household would become a health hazard as well.
So Jenny, being that you're a program manager in human services, I'm sure you're aware of lots of other programs beyond just WakeHELPS that could help our residents who are in this precarious financial situation due to COVID. Can you give them any advice as to other programs they may be able to apply for?
Yes, we do. One of our big major energy programs is a Crisis Intervention Program, or CIP, and that is a program where we assist people with their cooling cost and heating cost during the winter, but right now, of course, focused on cooling, and we're able to help with during the fiscal year up to $600, and that can be multiple times helping with multiple bills, or it can be a $600 at one time. So this also, by bringing that up, can be something that can work together with WakeHELPS. And so if they have a large bill, and we know there's bills, we've seen bills over $1,600 at this point that folks have, and so we would be able to perhaps combine the crisis program with the WakeHELPS and actually solve more of their immediate issues with their bills. It has a different income limit and a different application process, but we can definitely make sure everyone has taken advantage of any of the other funding that may be available to them. In addition to that, we also have Cool for Wake, which is a program that provides fans to individuals. So if they don't have air conditioning or a fan, and in these terribly hot days, we can help with a fan through that program.
Well, those are all great ideas.
Yes. And any of those programs, to get more information, they can call our main human services number at 212-7000 and ask for that.
So it's really good that we have this WakeHELPS program in place so that we can help our residents, hopefully, like you were saying, bridge that gap and continue to have these really incredible services that they need to help them stay healthy and their families as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Janie, for coming by and talking to us today about WakeHELPS.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And if you're interested in learning more about the WakeHELPS program and possibly applying for funding yourself, please go to our website. It's wakegov.com/WakeHELPS, or call the phone number on your screen.
Get the timely and accurate information you need to stay safe if there's an emergency in your area. Sign up for Ready Wake alerts, and Wake County will send you important notifications by text, phone, or email. whichever way you choose. Whether it's severe weather, a missing person report, or a neighborhood evacuation, stay in the know with Ready Wake alerts. Learn more and sign up at readywake.com.
Only 1 in 5 people recycles in their bathroom, so Wake County is making it easy to get started. If you sign up for our bathroom recycling initiative and agree to take a survey, we'll give you a free 3-gallon recycling bin for your bathroom while supplies last. For more information, visit the website on your screen. Did you know 1 in 30 baby boomers has hepatitis C? People born between 1945 and 1965 are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. Hepatitis C can hide in the body for years or even decades and can cause cirrhosis, cancer, and even death. The good news is hepatitis C can be treated. The first step is to get a simple, free blood test. Don't be a statistic. Visit wakegov.com/hepc today to schedule your free blood test.
This year's Summer at the Library has been different, but we're still working to bring you virtual, engaging content. In this episode, we're highlighting an interview we did with best-selling author Kwame Mbalia and about his most recent works.
Good morning. My name is Carla Payne. I'm a public librarian with Wake County Public Libraries. We are excited to have Kwame Mbalia with us today. Kwame is a local author. He is also the best-selling author of Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you to the Wake County Public Libraries. Thank you to all libraries across the country for everything that you have done, everything that you continue to do. I love libraries, and this is my call for everyone out there to continue to support them. I want to get started today the way that I always do, with a introduction of myself. And, you know, whenever I'm talking to students, they always look at me funny, like, you just were introduced. Why are you reintroducing yourself? And what I answer them with is that when you introduce yourself, when you give someone your name, that is the very first story that you will tell them about yourself. When you give them your name, you're giving them your lineage, your history, who you are, who you were, and who you hope to be. So, my name is Kwame Mbalia. Kwame is a West African name, specifically from the country of Ghana. It is a day name. That means depending on what day of the week you were born, you could be given a certain name. And Kwame means born on Saturday. There is a special relationship between West African names and Tristan Strong, because a lot of the mythology within Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky and into the next book, Tristan Strong Destroys the World, deals with West African mythology. But that's not the only mythology in there. There's also African American folklore and a little bit of good old fashioned superstition sprinkled in.
So Kwame, when did you decide that you wanted to become an author?
When did I decide that I want to become an author? That is a 2-part answer. The first being that I've always written. When I was growing up, I wasn't the best at speaking my feelings, but I could always write them. And so I would create stories that expressed whatever emotions I were dealing with at the time, except on paper. But it was about 5 or maybe 6 years ago now when I was dealing with an online writing group. And I got some feedback that said, hey, you're pretty good at this. Have you ever thought about, submitting your work, trying to find an agent and getting published? And at that point, hearing someone else validate what I'd been doing was completely different than me, reading over my own work and saying, oh, that's pretty good. So hearing that validation gave me the courage to kind of go out there and submit my work and try and find representation and to find a way to get published. So I've always been a writer, but it's only recently that I decided I wanted to be an author.
Okay. All right. Well, to kind of follow that one up, what was your inspiration for writing the Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky?
Again, all of my answers are going to be multi-part answers. I've always wanted to write a story based on what I grew up listening to. My parents did a wonderful job of kind of scouring the planet, because they traveled to Africa. They traveled around the United States looking for books that centered African and African American children and stories. In fact, when I was growing up and there were 4 of us, we would sleep in the same room with 2 bunk beds. And it can get a little rambunctious when it's 4 kids trying to go to sleep at night. My parents would put on cassette tapes of mythology and stories, and we would listen to the Anansi tales, and that's what would kind of help us wind down to go to sleep. And so I always wanted to write about those stories, or write stories with those characters, so that my children could read and listen to those, types of stories the way that I did. And then a big feature of Tristan Strong is his ability, or his ongoing processing of grief and how he deals with it. So about 6 months before I started writing the book, my father passed away. And so writing this book helped me help myself, and also help my oldest daughter, who's the one who really remembered her grandfather, process those emotions of dealing with grief, of denial, of acceptance, and so on and so forth.
Right. All right. How long did it take you to write Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky?
It took me about 8 months to write the first draft. But because nothing, and I always tell the students and readers and adults that I talk to, because nothing ever emerges from your brain perfect. There were lots of revisions and editing, and that cycle took about 18 months, about 1.5 years from when I sat down to start writing the Gum Baby scene that I just read. That was actually the first, that's in chapter 3, but it's actually the first scene I ever wrote for the book. From that point to when my editor said that, all right, this is great, we're gonna send it off, for the cover, and to send off, marketing galleys and so on and so forth. That was about 1.5 years.
Okay. And fun fact is that you did do a lot of your writing for that book right here at Northeast Regional.
I did a lot of my writing right here at Northeast Regional Library in Wake County. I would come in after work, and I would sit in the adult section with my earbuds on, waving hi. I got to know a lot of the lovely librarians who work here. And in between coming from work and having to run to pick up my daughter from daycare, it was 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I wrote it right here. Claim to fame.
Okay. So Gum Baby is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
She's just so spunky, and it's hard not to like her, even though she obviously irritates Tristan sometimes.
Very irritating and annoying.
So who is your favorite character?
I get this question, and I always say that Gum Baby was my favorite character to write because, again, this book deals with a lot of heavy topics. Not only are we dealing with grief, but we're talking about the slave trade, right, and the Middle Passage, and we're talking about a lot of the horrors and the specters that still linger over us from that, right? And so when you're writing a heavy book like that, introducing a character like Gum Baby, she's almost like a release valve for the book. She's not comic relief, but she is someone that is like giving you permission to smile. And that's something that I think is very important when we're writing books for children. It's that, we can write about grief. There's nothing wrong with writing about grief or sadness or oppression or anything like that. But we can't show just that one side of the coin, right? We have to show grief and remembrance, right? We have to show sadness and joy, anger and happiness. We have to show that it's not just the valleys that we're dealing with, but there are peaks and mountains that, we can climb as well. So Gum Baby was my favorite character to write, to kind of give me, that breath of fresh air as I'm writing these heavy subjects. But High John the Conqueror is probably my favorite character to read, and that I love his story of how he kind of bridges two different worlds, and just I still don't think we've actually plumbed the depth of his character and of his abilities. And that's something that I'd love to explore more in future books.
Kind of to piggyback on that question, what character or characters do you relate to the most?
Do I relate to the most? This is going to sound funny, but I really relate to Granddad a lot. Walter Strong, Tristan's grandfather, specifically like when they're on the car ride traveling down. And, you know, Tristan, you know, it's his first time driving over an hour, and he's driving from Chicago all the way down into the deep South. And that's, you know, 10, 12, 14-hour drive. And so Granddad is just, no, we're not there yet. No, we're not stopping to get food. No, I will turn this car around. And I really relate to Granddad in this moment, with especially, you know, driving around with my kids. It is really expensive to put 3 kids, now 4 kids, on an airplane, right? And so we drive everywhere. We drive up to Wisconsin to see my folks, to see my father when he was alive, and now to see my mother. And it is a lot driving. You know, there's bathroom breaks. Nobody ever has to use the bathroom at the same time. It's like they're staggering. Like half hour from now, the 5-year-old has to go. Then it's the 12-year-old. Now they have snacks. Well, I didn't want that snack. I wanted to pack a different snack. Can we stop there? That looks interesting. No, that's on the opposite side. We need gas. Well, can I use the bathroom the gas station in the bathroom? And it's just a lot.
It's an adventure within itself.
That, 2-page segment of Granddad is probably where I invested so much of my writing emotions.
All right. And some of the final questions. What advice would you give to aspiring writers?
What advice would I give to aspiring writers? I would give them 2 pieces of advice. One that is actually tangible to, writing craft, and one that is more motivational. And starting with the motivational one, it's that the hardest thing about writing is actually sitting down to write. You can make all the plans. I got my pens, I got my new journal, or I got my laptop. But then you sit down and you're distracted. You're on the internet, or you remember, for me, it's like, oh, I've got chores I need to do. The kids are finally asleep. I can write, or I can finally get that load of laundry folded. And so actually sitting down to start writing is one of the hardest things to do. And you have to be disciplined, and you have to almost carve out time where you leave yourself no choice but to write. Sit down, put the pen to the paper, and start writing. And then with the craft bit, one little trick that has helped me actually start writing is when you are finished, when you know you're finishing your session for the day, whether the baby is starting to get antsy and you got to go pick him up to change him, or you're coming close to when your parents are going to be here to pick you up from school, is to stop writing in the middle of a sentence, because when you start writing the next day, it's so much easier, instead of staring at a blank page, to just finish that sentence, right? If it's an obvious sentence like, it was a dark and stormy, and you stop right there, right? You come back and it was a dark and stormy night, and your brain you trick your brain into instantly picking up where you were. And so you spend less time trying to think of what to write and more time just actually writing.
Okay. All right. So what is next for Tristan Strong, and what upcoming projects are you working on?
Poor Tristan. Tristan is going to deal with a lot, because I don't believe in sugarcoating the emotions that we're going to feel. I said we got to present all the emotions, and I believe in presenting them realistically. And poor Tristan, he's gonna the one thing that he hates is getting his shoes wet, and in each of the books that I've written, he's gotten his shoes wet. They're brand new shoes, just had his parents buy them or his grandparents buy them. And that is the symbol that Tristan is going to be in for a hard time, is whenever he gets his shoes wet, that things are just rapidly going downhill, and he's going to get his shoes wet multiple times. But I hope And by the end, I can't promise anything because writers are evil. I hope by the end that Tristan has created something in this world that is truly special, that will linger, not just for him, but for the readers as well. And then personally, what am I writing on? What am I working on? I am working on a lot of different things. I feel like I have my fingers in 12 different projects and I only have 10 fingers. If that explains how much I'm trying to juggle my writing. But always something fun and spectacular for middle grade. And I think you will hear a sneaky announcement by the time this goes live. I believe we may be right around that time where announcements will be made. So stay tuned. Keep your ears and your eyes peeled. Exciting news is on the horizon.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Carla, and thank you to librarians everywhere.
You're welcome.
Get the timely and accurate information you need to stay safe if there's an emergency in your area. Sign up for Ready Wake alerts and Wake County will send you important notifications by text, phone, or email, whichever way you choose. Whether it's severe weather, a missing person report, or a neighborhood evacuation, stay in the know with Ready Wake alerts. Learn more and sign up at readywake.com.
Only 1 in 5 people recycles in their bathroom, so Wake County is making it easy to get started. If you sign up for our bathroom recycling initiative and agree to take a survey, we'll give you a free 3-gallon recycling bin for your bathroom while supplies last. For more information, visit the website on your screen. Did you know 1 in 30 baby boomers has hepatitis C? People born between 1945 and 1965 are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. Hepatitis C can hide in the body for years or even decades and can cause cirrhosis, cancer, and even death. The good news is hepatitis C can be treated. The first step is to get a simple, free blood test. Don't be a statistic. Visit wakegov.com/hepc today to schedule your free blood test.
We want cake! We want cake! We want cake! We want cake!
You remember to get the cake, right?
I thought you were getting the cake.
We want cake!
What? No cake?
Things are better when you plan. Learn more about what we're planning at planwake.org.
That's all for this episode of Wake TV. Keep up with the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at wakegov.com/news. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube so you can always stay in the loop. We'll see you next time.